Hi, this is Thad with Kitchen and Bath Global Partners and CAB Software. And welcome to episode 6 of the Kitchen and Bath Adventure channel. Today, we're going to be talking about virtual and augmented reality and mixed reality and the impact it's going to have on our industry moving forward. I also wanted to go ahead and introduce our special guest today. The first one I'll go with is Rod Brewer. Rod and I have been friends for over 30 years. I hate to admit that, of course. And friends is there's a lot of gray area to that. But no, he's been a great guy. He's worked at Masco. He spent a lot of time at Norcraft and Mid Continent. And Rod, why don't you just say a couple things about what you're doing now and is a new exciting opportunity for him.
As Thad said, I've spent a lot of time mainly on the OEM side, and in the last decade, I kind of made the transition to the direct-to-consumer e-tail space, which is where I am now, which is pretty relevant to what we're talking about today. So, long-time kitchen industry veteran, but looking at this new channel and way of doing business.
Great. Well, we're really happy to have you here today, Rod. I appreciate it. I know you've got a wealth of information, so we're really looking forward to hearing some of the things and your insight into these new platforms. Our other guest today is our own Mary Amarando, who has joined us. She's been a designer in the industry for a while. Yeah, I always slaughter her last name when I'm on film. I'm so sorry. I just have to say Mary O from now on. I can say it 20 times off camera, but as soon as I get on there, I stumble. But Mary, you want to go ahead and just say a couple things about what you've done, and then we'll hop right into it?
Yeah, sure. And it's Omohandro.
Yes.
So
that's what I said.
I know it's not. It's a scary name, but I've been working with that since July here at Kitchen and Bath Global Partners. I'm the national sales leader amongst a lot of other little hats that I wear. Prior to that, I was a branch manager for a kitchen and bath company. And I actually was the manager, and then I sort of got into design a little bit. So I've been in the industry for about almost 6 years now, I guess. And doing a lot of crazy things with that over at Kitchen and Bath Global Partners and with CAB Software. And it's a whole new adventure. It's awesome.
Thanks, Mary. And very happy to have you today, too. Always like when the fire engines start running next door to us over there at the beginning of this thing. So let's hop right into it. Like I said earlier, we're going to talk about the augmented reality, the impact on the kitchen and bath industry. This is going to change our industry. It's going to turn it upside down. When you want to talk about a disruptor, this is the type of technology that is going to reinvent how our industry operates in the future. So I do want to give a little overview of, because I know there's always some confusion when you're talking a little bit about the VR versus the AR and mixed reality. So let me put it into kitchen terms. So when you're looking at virtual reality, it's like in a 2020 drawing, everything is virtual. You're building the walls virtually in there, and then you're placing cabinetry, which is also virtual in that space. That's kind of a quick overview of what that looks like. The second one that we're going to talk about is the augmented reality. And augmented is more of a mixture of the real space, a real environment, like real walls. And then you can start placing virtual cabinets within that real environment that's in there. And then the last type of reality is the mixed reality, which is really when you have the real world out there, the real walls that are in there that you're looking through, whether it's through your HoloLens. You're starting to place those virtual images within it, but now you can start to interact with those virtual images. You can go in there and you can start moving them around. You can turn them upside down. It's you can do everything with the virtual images in there, opening doors, opening drawers, all those things start to take place. And I think that one augmented, and then as mixed reality starts to really grow as far as its abilities and features that it has available, I think we're going to really see a lot of that start. You start seeing that introduced more and more into our marketplace. Again, I apologize about this tooth thing. Basically, say things in a silly way. We'll get this fixed soon, so I don't have to lisp all the time. The next one I just wanted to hit on is the amount of money that's being spent in this industry. This last year it was about 30 billion roughly was spent in like in the augmented mixed reality world, and over the next 3 years you can start seeing the numbers here. The total from 22 to 25 is going to be, or 24 is going to be over right around half a trillion dollars. So you can only imagine when you're pouring that much money into this type of technology, how quickly it's going to start moving forward and becoming a lot more commonplace in our interactions in every industry that we work with, or buying cars, homes, and particularly in the kitchen and bath space. So the first one we wanted to kind of start on is how the consumer behaviors are changing. Like I just said, consumers have moved a lot more, especially with the advent of COVID, and they are obviously having a lot more online digital experiences, and that has become like it makes people a lot more comfortable when they're operating within that environment online, doing their purchases, things that years ago was just not unheard of, or a very small percentage of the market. That continues to grow. And like I mentioned earlier, as this technology gets better and better, it's all about that customer's experience of when they get in there and how real like it is. When they can start walking around in a possible project, their kitchen in there, and they can move around and all the objects are very sharp and they can see it, and it becomes like a lifelike experience for them. Their confidence level in doing purchases within that type of environment are going to increase. So we'll probably see the bricks and mortar retail purchases decline over the years as the online experiences improve how the customer is able to operate within, again, those environments. The last thing I wanted to mention is that I hear people constantly say there's no way that's going to happen. Customers are never going to just buy kitchens online. Bricks and mortar is not going anywhere. And I'm not saying that it's not. I'm saying it's still going to be part of this. It's just become a smaller part of our industry. And let's not forget, it doesn't matter what we say. At the end of the day, the consumers are going to decide where they're going to purchase. Whatever the best fit for them and the best value is, that's where they're going to purchase from. So I want to open it up on the floor, and I'm going to talk about the current status of the buying experience for people when they are going in and the process of buying within the bricks and mortar, the retail stores that are out there, a dealer showroom. So, hey, let's start with Rod. Rod, can you quickly or just walk through what that experience is currently for customers when they're starting from ground zero and going in to a store and starting that process?
Yeah, I think that it's you're referring to the traditional way that we've been selling kitchens for decades, correct?
That's correct. Yes, spot on.
Okay. And so we're all pretty familiar with that. And I think the main challenge, the main difference with what you're talking about, that is that the proportion of time that people are spending at the front end of the discovery journal journey, not going to those brick and mortar locations, has changed dramatically and will continue to. So it used to be that you had to drive around, and we all know that people went to 3, 4, 5 different brick and mortar locations. A couple of them probably a large big box, and that's what was their information gathering thing. So the discovery journey was very time consuming. That's got consolidated now down, and that's just the reality of what's going on right now. So there's also it's the interaction on that showroom floor, both with the showroom individual and those displays. So I'm sure we're going to get to this next about how that's morphing into kind of a little bit of a new model, but that's the reality today, with probably 90% of the kitchen sales out there on the remodeling side.
Right. I would absolutely agree with you. Mary, you want to share a little bit about what you see as far as the current experience of customers in kitchen and bath showrooms?
Yeah, I think Rod is exactly right. A lot of people are researching online as much as they can beforehand, because it's redoing your kitchen or your bath is a huge project, and most people have no idea where to start. So they do start gathering some information, and then on into the showroom they go. And then there's a lot of back and forth, because there's the designer going out to the house to measure, and then coming back, meeting with them in the showroom to make choices, doing a design, meeting again in the showroom to go over the design and make changes. And so then you step back and make the changes, and then you'll meet again. So there's several back and forths going on right now, which I think is going to change a lot as the changes take place with the virtual reality and augmented, and give the other options of getting this done more quickly.
Right. Yeah. Thank you, Mary. That's exactly right. I mean, if you just look at the time that it takes to go through this traditional process right now, that could easily be, 2 months, 3 months of back and forth, making decisions before you even come to the final contract. And, from a customer's experience, I'm not saying it's not a good experience, but it's not it's not utopia. Let's just say that there's a lot of things that I think technology can lend a hand into this process that can make it a lot more less time, more not so clumsy of a process. And I think that's what we're going to start seeing happening more and more with kitchen and bath dealers out there. So the next one I just wanted to talk a little bit about, as far as the hybrid type of business. When you're looking at a hybrid kitchen and bath place, it encompasses two things. It encompasses the bricks and mortar experience that we were just talking about, and then is coupled with the online experience. And you're already seeing this. I think Rod mentioned it earlier, the fact finding, the information that people are getting. I mean, they're going to that digital retail storefront, which is your website, and they're going out there and they're seeing door styles, and they're starting to understand what's available as far as different color selections and the whole 9 yards. And so they're much more educated when they start taking that first step with the designers. I think an important part of this is, as we go through this, and it is something that kitchen and bath dealers really need to understand. That first model is decreasing in market share. This one is probably one of the fastest growing ones in market share, because we are seeing customers, that's the way they want to operate. And they want to be able to do a lot more sitting at their home and engaging that company to prepare for their project moving forward. So, hey, I just want to throw it out a little bit of what this might look like from Rod's opinion and where this is going to be going.
Yeah, I think this hybrid model makes a ton of sense. I know we're going to talk about the online model a little bit too, but according to the NKBA, the average of a medium-size kitchen remodel is $40,000, and that's a very difficult ticket to buy completely online. So there's a lot of online retailers, and that share is increasing, but they're not necessarily the full kitchen bath experience. So this hybrid that you're talking about is very important. So I think the important thing is to understand that the customer is going to come to you and look at you in your online experience during the discovery phase. But there is so much complexity, so much nuance in this that a full purchase online is complex, and that makes it hard to sell the entire kitchen job online. So this hybrid that Thad you're talking about really makes a ton of sense. But the whole purpose of this is that we need to embrace the technology that is available today and will be coming.
Yes, thank you, Rod. That was right down Main Street for where we're thinking this thing is going to go. Barry, did you have any thoughts of how you see the hybrid model continue to expand and what that is going to look like?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think it's already sort of out there. I think COVID absolutely forced us into a type of a hybrid model, at least the beginning stages of it. And I think that consumers are becoming a whole lot more comfortable with these Zoom meetings and, signing things, online and things like that. But it's that touching and feeling that of the product, like getting to actually, hold that, touch it, open the cabinets and that kind of thing is what the technology is not all there for yet.
Right.
But I think that as we're moving toward it, because people are becoming more comfortable, because other areas are doing this, like like the car, you can buy a new car completely online without even test driving it, and then getting it and having it for a day to test drive it and choose if you don't want it. Like you can do all of that. You can do it with buying homes, and we all would have thought that was crazy a while back, and it's just right here. It's right here now. And I think that the technology is going to just all of a sudden, we're going to be surprised how quickly it gets here, that we'll be able to do all of this online from start to finish.
Right. I remember back when you were talking about buying homes. The first home I bought, I think we spent a day driving around and looking at 13 homes that day. Had to get to each one of them to see what they were like. And then you're like, okay, well, I didn't want that one. And this is going to all take place just sitting on your couch now. I could have narrowed it down to the one I wanted probably within an hour instead of spending a whole day. And you talk about a big ticket item. Homes were pretty large. They're the largest ones that we're going to purchase out there.
Yeah.
The other thing I just wanted to make sure that I'm incorporating in these the video podcasts that we have, I want to make sure that when these things are over, for the people that are watching this, that they actually have some things that they can go back to and start working on within their business. We just talked about that interaction and getting customers engaged online, and that's on your website. When I look at most kitchen and bath dealers' websites, some of them, I think haven't been touched in years. And that says a lot to the customer that's out there looking at it. Some of them have started moving forward. They've got anything from the visualizers out there. They've got some other tools like budgeting tools. But at the end of the day, you know what the customer does? They fill in a sheet that's out there, and they're interested in doing business with that company. And then they submit it and hopefully hear back from them within a day, 2 week, whatever it is. And that's the end of that online experience. Mm-hmm. I think where you're really going to start seeing people like companies divide themselves, are really the spread point that's going to take place between those two different companies, the ones that are advancing on their websites compared to those that aren't. They're going to have things that are much more engaging that's out there. You when you go out to that website, that customer is wanting to not only be able to start looking at the selections, but they're going to want to start playing around with design out there, putting cabinetry in there, starting to pick their tile and put that into files that are out there, the different types of flooring and lighting, and starting to pull their project together ahead of time. And when they start doing that, the designer is going to start interacting and building that first relationship with the customer online. Customers will be able to pick which designer they want to work with. You know, they'll look at their bios. Maybe they have a video bio and they're like, look, I really like this one. They're going to pick that person. And then that customer, that designer is going to see that customer out there and the things that they've working on, the things that they've selected, and they're going to start engaging them in an online discussion, asking questions, you know, telling them things about some of the stuff that they've chosen for their project. And then the next step may be, hey, why don't we move this to a platform of a Zoom meeting and go through that online. So there's so much that's going to be happening in that virtual world, the digital world, before that customer even walks in the door. So I guess the big point I'm trying to make here is you need to take a hard look at your website. Go out there yourself and see how much time is customers are going to spend out there. Are they just going to go and look around at some nice pictures of stuff, read a little bit about us, fill out the form, and then walk into your showroom and that's it? I think we really want to, again, build all the tools that are out there so that they can start having their little playtime, their little selections that are going on. And then when you do have contact with them, you're so much further along in the sales cycle. I think designers are going to love it. So that's kind of seeing where it's going to go first. And then the next stage we want to get into is the complete virtual experience that customers are going to have online. And that's when you're going to start seeing, you know, the augmented and mixed reality. This is when a lot of those functions that are currently done in the showroom are going to happen in online in that digital platform that's out there. So again, I'll start with Rod because he's got a virtual picture of himself out there today. That's what he's played to me. And I want to kind of see what his vision is of when these customers are participating in this purchase process, but it's all in that digital experience platform that they have.
Yeah, I'm going to tag off a little bit what you said a little earlier, though. When looking at your own website, I would also encourage you to look at your competitor's website because that's what your customer's doing, and look and see how you're comparing to some of the other online, well, and not even online people, but the people in your own geographic market that your customer might go to. And the second thing, everybody, and you know this, but I'll just restate it, that a kitchen, like home furnishing, is a very emotional purchase. So you need to be able to connect with your customer emotionally, digitally on your website. And you know, when they come into the funnel, top of funnel with you, it is three things they want to know. Can you do what I want? In other words, do you have the products I want? Do you have the look? Have you done this type of thing before? Two, can I afford you? So some way you need to indicate, you know, if not in hard dollars, but it's some way to let them know where you are from a price point standpoint. And the last thing, and this is really important, can I trust you? Okay, because again, they've probably got 50 online places, not online, but I'm talking about websites they're going to go to gather information. And they're going to narrow that down to maybe 5 to interact with in a physical way. So I just really encourage you to understand that it's an emotional purchase. Look at your competitors, show people that you can do what they want. Let them know about where your pricing is at, and then you got to establish a level of trust there. So sorry about that. I didn't even answer your question.
No. That's hey, Rod. You bring up. So here's the difference. You brought up a great point that we really hadn't touched on too much, which is extremely important when consumers are making these decisions. It's that trust and the connection that they're going to make, right? And online in the past has always been a difficult pill to swallow, right? And now that they're getting more comfortable with it, and you can have interactions like this, and you can start seeing how their project is going to come together. And you're starting to get to know that person more in that online space where you're interacting. That's where you're going to start seeing the pendulum start to change when they feel comfortable working with somebody. And you know what? Guess what? In that portfolio that you'll see with the designer out there, and how many of them are going to start having like a digital video of some of the customers that they worked with, talking about what that experience was like, so that people can like understand how the past customers have felt about working with that particular designer. All those things are going to start making it more human like online, and that's really where we need to get to, because you're absolutely right. If they don't have the trust and confidence yet of the person that they're buying from, which traditionally has all happened in that showroom, they're probably not going to move forward to it with it. So we need to find ways. Kitchen bath dealers need to find ways to get those customers in there and make that connection. Websites need to change. They need to become more tangible, where customers can get there and they feel like they're almost like living in this kitchen and bath dealership, but in a digital space, and they're interacting with it. And I think those are the things that are, again, start changing their view of what that experience is like. I just want to take a second. We've got a question coming in. And so we're going to go ahead and answer that as it gets posted up here. And the question is from Harbor Rotary, and it says, do you have any suggestions of project management software that can manage all these different categories at an online decision? I think one of my friends actually must have put that in there, because everybody knows that Cabs is one of our softwares that we have out there. And this is not a plug for it, but it is. I believe with all my heart that every kitchen and bath dealer needs, if they don't have a fully integrated system to run their business right now, they need to find it. If they're going to keep up with the times, how customers interact, and creating talent. Look, if it's not ours, you need to have something. This is a day of having, spreadsheets and file folders that are all over the place. Those are days gone. Those are bygones, right? Things can't operate anymore like that. It's a great question, and like I said, there are those softwares out there. You need to look at it, find out what the best fit is for you, and can it do everything that you need. So anyway, thank you so much for the question. It says any playtime software to add to our website. Yeah, that's a great question too. I think some of the things I know what we're working on. Again, I don't want to go down that path, but it is getting customers to be able to get into portals and be able to start making their selections from the website options they have out there. Start to store that stuff in there, what they like, pictures of kitchens that they've seen out there, whether it's on Pinterest or Houzz or whatever it is. And then they, could be budget calculators that they have in there. They can start working with consumer-friendly design software. That's another component that we're trying to integrate in there. Again, think about a customer and how much time they're spending on that website. That's all time invested in getting to know your company and working with it in those the digital platforms that are out there. So thanks so much for those questions. They're really good questions. I want to answer things so that people know what those steps look like right now. Mary, and whoever sent that in, the check's in the mail, okay?
Hey, Dad.
Shameless. I promise I didn't put anybody up for that.
As I say that, I didn't think you were above putting a plant in the audience. But
I'm not above that. I'm not, but I didn't this time. I need people to believe me on that. It was too good of a plug. Mine would have been a messed up plug. But Mary, I want to hear a little bit from you as to how you see that whole digital experience evolving for customers and for kitchen and bath dealers and designers out there.
Yeah,
What's
you
it
know,
going
one
to
of the
look like
things
4 or 5 years from now? I'm sorry. Go ahead,
Yeah, it's
please.
okay. One of the things that we talk about a lot, and I know you've touched on it in some other podcasts, the culture and the core values of your company. If you have those in a line and those are spilling out onto your website, that's going to build that trust. And just like Rod said, trust is really the basis of any sale. So if your core values are in line, your company is living up to them. They're out there seeing it on our website. And if they do end up walking into the showroom, then it's spilling out to them at that point. So that's really important, I think. And I think that culture and core values are definitely a hot topic these days. So we need to find a way to incorporate those into the websites, to get those people engaged. And the more that they're feeling that on your website, the more they're going to stay there and become engaged and be excited to work with you and to work with your team.
That I knew it was a great decision to have you come join us today, Mary, because we didn't touch on it, and that's a big part of it. I mean, I look at some of these websites, and they're so stale. When you go read about us, which is like on our websites and like almost every kitchen and bath deal, that's like one of the first places they go out there. That's the most visited page when consumers are roaming around on that website. And some of them I just see like this short, like, okay, here's what we are, here's how long we've been in business, just content. And I don't know how someone gets warm and fuzzies from just reading that. Like, they don't even have pictures of the people that they have there. Or if they do, it's really stale. Like, we're all human beings. We have to have, again, that human aspect on our website so that people start liking people, like trusting them, seeing they're making that connection. Like, oh wow, look, Thad's at another pie eating contest this weekend. That's 14 weekends in a row. But whatever it is, right? We start humanizing ourselves, and it just makes it real for people, right? It starts to go away from the digital relationship and more to that personal relationship. And as you start to build that bond out there on site with those people, they do. They really start feeling a lot more comfortable. They start liking the idea of working with those people, even if it's silly things that they're doing on site or videos or things that they're doing within the community. It just brings it down to the ground level being genuine. And that's the other thing with online. Bricks and mortar, they can walk in, they feel better about it. It's real, it's there. And we need to translate that into, again, the online experience that they're having with your website out there. Just think about what you want to do out there. Cooking videos, short ones, or recipes, anything that just brings like real life to this whole experience is really, really important. And that's what we should be doing anyway. If as a company the customers only look at like dollar bills and you want to process them through like this, uh, I think those people's days are going to be numbered. You can only fake it so much, and eventually customers are going to understand that's the core value of your company compared to other people that positive attitudes, a lot of energy, working together, building those relationships, and actually caring about their customers and their projects. So, with that being said, I'm going to take a minute and kind of describe how I see the future looking when we get into these online experiences. They sound a little bit crazy, but when you look at the amount of money that Facebook is putting in there, metaverse, you've got Google involved in this, you're going to see small glasses on people's heads, you're going to see contacts that they can put in. It will not be long before a customer can scan the room that they're talking about, put it out there, invite the designer in, and the next thing you know, the designer will have their toolbox within that space, and they will meet like avatars. It's just like someone being in their own kitchen at home, and they're going to start having discussions just like they would, if it was in person. And they're going to start talking. They're going to put up like different selections of paint colors and tile colors. And as they're doing this, they're going to start putting and placing these things within the room. And then they're going to start putting cabinets in there. And all the while, as they're doing this, the customer is going to start seeing estimates of what the cost is going to be, or the true cost that's in there. And that's the way consumers are going to operate. I mean, it's going to be so cool and so real life like that. They're going to be good with that experience, and the whole decision making process is going to really collapse. It's going to become so much quicker when people, instead of like, hey, I'll get back with you with this new quote in a couple weeks. I mean, they're going to be able to do it right then. Customers can even answer questions before they go into this thing, so that the designer can already see what their likes and dislikes are. It's a French country kitchen, and how they want to take that next step in designing it, and all the choices that they have. It might be a 2-hour interaction, and you may be 95% through the process. I know sometimes that designers out there are just like, that's never going to happen, but it is, and at least I think so. It's not a bad thing. Designers are just going to have to understand how to evolve with this technology and become solution based for consumers out there, and how they can use these new technologies and features to make the customer's experience better. It's not something people should look at in a bad way. It's enhancing the customer's experience. I guess the question to you is, all of us are consumers, right? Wouldn't we want to have a better experience instead of going back and forth in the showroom 3 or 4 times and going to the tile store? Oh, today you got to go over and select this slab that's over there. Wow, here it is digitally. It's the clean cut. Now you have to go over to Ferguson and pick your sinks and faucets out. That's plug for Ferguson, which is accidental. But you can kind of see the way it's going to shape up, at least from my perspective. But I do want to hear some feedback from you folks. This time I'm going to start with Mary. We're going to get ladies first. And that was a close contest between the two. So just kidding, Ron. Hey, come on. I told you we have to have some fun. No staleness. Anyway, Mary, would you like to pitch in a little bit here on how you see that view of how things are going to go down in the future?
You mean like for how the designers will change, or just overall?
I just think the overall experience. What is that going to look like when a customer decides, you know what, I want to remodel this kitchen? What's my first steps? And what do those first steps look like? What are we going to do?
Well, I think like we were talking about on the website is where it's going to start. But I think that it will be great to be able to have your, once they're out there looking at your product, and maybe there's even an opportunity to play around in basic design for themselves and see sort of what's involved, learning about the ins and outs of the rules of kitchen design and why they can't do certain things. And then maybe there's, chatting with a designer or with an expert and talking through it, getting some idea of how much they should be spending on a kitchen remodel for their type of house and for what they want. Are they, asking all the basic questions? Why are you doing this? Are you flipping this house? Are you going to be here? This your forever home? That kind of thing. So I think you can get that beginning part done. And then, I know there's technology out there. You and I have talked about it, that for scanning a room to measure. And so maybe that gets done. I don't know if the phones get to the point where it's good enough where they can do it through their phone. I don't think it's there yet, but when
It's
it
very
is,
close.
it's
I
very
mean,
close.
you look
Yeah.
at the Samsung and the Apple devices, they all have LiDAR capabilities.
Yeah.
And they're all going to improve. You get to the Samsung 30, which will be like, I don't know, 2 months from now. Who knows? It's going to have a really advanced technology in there to scan that room.
Right.
And I'm going to turn this over to Rod here in a second. But when you were saying like the website, right? Like those people are going to start getting engaged. Like they're going to start living in that website.
Yeah.
They're going to go into that virtual world and start working with that customer. It won't just be this screen thing. They're going to put their glasses on and really start moving around in that kitchen that they just downloaded in there with all the space. It's going to be amazing how different it is from today. Rod, please. I want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, a couple of things to tag off of what Mary was saying and what we were saying, Thad, as well, is that, so many times I see a kitchen and bath dealer's website that seems to be just like a placeholder, okay? And your website has to have a purpose, and it has to have a call to action. You want to engage with somebody. But as you were talking about pie eating contests, it's also don't be afraid to be yourself. And
right.
What I mean by that is so much is keyed off of authenticity, okay? And don't also assume that people want to interact with huge companies, which means that you don't have to have that IT spend of a Lowe's on your website, okay? If you're a 4 or 5 person operation, that's fine, and you can look like that, and because a lot of people want to deal with a smaller local company anyway. But it's really about connecting with them emotionally, and is basically what you guys are talking about. Tell a story, and people like to see progresses on jobs, which is where the social media comes in, right? If you've got a really cool job you're working on, a daily post. It doesn't have to be expensive. And Thad, you may have some ratios on money, what you should be spending on that. But I'm not going to get into that. But I do think that as a business owner or somebody in that business, you should be posting almost daily on a social media, not on a website, but those things have to be connected, right?
Right.
And that way people can follow along with you and see what you do. So I think that's really important, that your web presence, your digital presence has to have a purpose, and it has to have a call to action. Regarding this bigger picture of what's going on, you're right. There are people, and I would encourage you to do that. I'm not endorsing this product. It is one product, but some of the stuff that we're talking about with digital and how it's going to change will change the industry. But that's still that same idea about customer acquisition and qualification never changes. The technology changes, but that doesn't. So one way to use technology, and again, I'm not endorsing this product, it's just that I've used it, is the Kubicasa app. And it does use the LiDAR technology, but the way that you could use this as a kitchen and bath dealer is to engage with your customer prior to them coming and seeing you at all. And what you could do is have them scan the room. It downloads it, and I've used it. It's not perfect as far as getting down to the 1/4 of an inch, not yet anyway. All right. But it does give you enough to do an initial 2020 layout, or I'm not endorsing 2020 either, but an initial layout where you could at least get a concept design before you actually have a physical presence with them. And then the last point I wanted to make is that, to your point, Thad, this is changing, and there are people, and there's a ton of PE money and a ton of VC money that's being dumped into firms like Block and Make Innovation, which they're going to change the dynamics of the cost structure and time frame of remodeling projects. Now, they're not necessarily in the kitchen space yet, but they will be. So that's who you're also going to be competing with.
Yeah, anybody that doesn't understand how big our market is, like close to 200 billion, if you don't think people are like looking over there and going, wait a second, look at the process they currently have. They may not be experts in kitchen and bath, but they want to get their piece of the pie there. It's so big, and the technologies that they have can definitely migrate over into our industry. And the other point that you brought, excellent point, Rod, is about that social media stuff. And I think that people are missing an opportunity when they aren't providing their customers with, whether it's video content or whatever, like of their project. So when they're posting their project out on social media, right, and they can see these videos and things that are going on, and you're giving those folks those things where they can go out and share it with their friends, a neighbor or coworkers, right, and they can kind of see the progress of this project is going on. Oh wow, this is cool. What's going on, right? And pretty soon they're gonna like know the dealer and the designer that they're working with. That's transference of trust. Like the homeowner has that trust with the designer in that company, and now that trust is transferred over to all the people that they know their inner circle that's out there. And so that's really when you've struck gold, I'll say. And I don't mean in like a monetary way, but it is that now you're already starting to build relationships with other people out there through your customers. And your customers carry so much more weight than a salesperson out there saying, "Oh, we're great." When the customer says that to their friends and family, wow, that's a personal experience that they're sharing. That, that that is the best thing ever, because those customers are going to believe it because they already trust their friend in that situation. And that's where people should be spending money. I mean, they need, if everybody wants to like get people to their website, and that's great, they should still do that. Well, let's see what that website looks like and how you can, use that over in the social media platform where you're really getting inundated in those circles out there of the people that you're working with. I know we're coming to a close. I don't know, David, if we have any other questions that are coming in. I love questions coming in. If you have something and you want to shoot it to us or shoot holes in whatever I'm saying, we're good with that. And so, what is the app to scan a room? Rod, you were talking about it. I mean, go ahead, Rod. I'm going to let you talk to this because I know you've been involved with it a little bit.
Yeah, like I said, the only one I've used, and there's many of them, and this is not a product endorsement, although I wouldn't mind getting a little jing for it. But the one I've used is Kubicasa. That's Cubicasa. So it's one word, Kubicasa. So there's others. I just do use that one.
Yeah, and I remember these things coming out 10 years ago, right? And the apps, they work kind of, but man, they have advanced so much these days, and they're only going to get better and better. Like those are tools that people need to understand and start using. They need to make sure that they're right in the middle of the process that they're doing with those customers when they're engaged with them going through this thing.
Yeah, the thing I'll add to that, Thad, is that that's something you can do today. And the thing is, if you want to compete with other people, again, it's the relationship. You start with that concept design, and then you let them, again, this feeling of comfort that you're going to come out and verify all these dimensions. So that's the hybrid that you're talking about.
Right. And you're exactly right. Like, hey, look, if it's down to like half inch, quarter inch, you're going to have to make some adjustments, but that's pretty close to the points of that room that you're going to be working with. Right. And it's not going to be made over like, oh, wow, this is like a foot off or something. It's not anywhere near that. It's much, much closer these days.
Yeah, I think it's within about a half inch now. They claim it's less than that, but my experience is about a half inch.
Yeah, I've seen it tighter. I have a friend, Rodney, and who's been on this show, and he scanned his room down in his kitchen in Florida, and he said it was pretty tight. It was less than a quarter of an inch when he went to measure it after he scanned it, and that was with his phone. So
that's it.
Moving forward.
Yeah.
Mary, did you have any thoughts or anything you want to put out there as we're wrapping up this discussion?
Not really, but I would say that how much time it saves, even if it just saves a designer from driving out to do a measure before really getting into working with the customer. If you don't have to do that first drive out and they scan it with their phone and you do a design, And then you go out to measure when you're signing that contract and you know you've got the sale. Then you take that time to drive out there and really do that measure and confirm everything, make sure it's all good. That's just right there. I know designers that I know personally would love that.
Yeah.
There some, if you ask any designer these days, like, hey, are you busy? They're like, oh my God, right? They're freaking out
Right.
because they have so much on their plate to do.
Yeah.
And how is a business going to be able to help those designers to streamline a lot of these processes?
Mm-hmm.
So they're not doing all these time consuming things that are related to working with a customer that they have to pull together. And I think the ones that are going to provide those tools are the ones that are going to attract the best people that are out there.
That's right.
And this is all a mindset, right? Like everybody who just says, look, I look over, I see how things are working right now. It's okay. It's successful. This is what we're going to continue to do. You're fooling yourself. Seriously. If you don't start taking action and how you're going to engage technology within your business, and that's how running your business and your website and how your consumers behaviors are changing and how they're operating and what they want from that experience, you're going to miss out. I mean, 2 years from now, you can stop and say, oh God, everything's changed around me. I need to start catching up. Ooh, that may be too late. Really? You want to be cutting edge. You want to be on the forefront. You need to do some research on this stuff. You just can't think of someone's going to hand it to you. I applaud that you're even like listening to this podcast. I know we're only up to like a 500,000 viewers, but that's a lot, right? And but that's good. You have to do more of your time as a business owner or anybody in our industry has to be spent on learning. You have to become a student. When things are moving so fast in our industry, where it was 10 miles an hour, I would say this, and now it's 60, boy, it's a lot more time needs to be spent in catching up on those things and not just the day-to-day operations, because if no one's spending any time on that, it's not going to happen. You're going to be in the same place year after year, and that solution is not going to last long with your customers out there. So I want to thank our special guest today. Rod, it's so great to see you again. It's good catching up. I know we'll catch up more. Hey, really, I love Rod. He's been a great guy, a person that's always believed in the future and how things are advancing. And, I love having dialogue with people like that, open-minded and looking out to other industries and what's happening. And Mary Hamarando. That's not the right thing. I always say it on like that, but I love working with Mary too. She's just been a present from heaven and worked with us at this company. She really has. I can't even begin to tell you how much she helps around here. Then the other things I want to mention, look, KBiz is on. KBiz is coming. And it's like 2.5 weeks from now. We'd really like you to stop by our booth and just say hi. We're in S6003. If you want to come by and see us and just introduce yourself, we love meeting people. And then the other thing I want to mention is we have 3 different podcasts that we're planning in the future. But what we're going to do this time is we're going to send surveys out, and we'll have them on our website, because I want to see what's hot in your mind right now as far as like what do you want to learn more about, and how can you take those things and start applying those to your business. Obviously, technology. This is going to be all about the technology that you could use internally for your business, with also the customers, and then a big part of this is going to be integration with the partners that you have, fabricators, installers, suppliers. The whole lot. Training is going to a whole new level. I'm sorry about getting on in this. I am so excited. When I start looking at immersive training where people can go in and be in a kitchen and you're training people, statistics show that if you just tell people stuff and they're watching you do the training, 2 weeks later, they may retain 10%. You put them into an immersive situation where they're engaged in there. Guess what? That number just went up to 40%. That's where state of the art training is going to start coming into play here. And we're going to start seeing it. I know we're going to be working on it here. And then the last one is the reporting and scorecards. You have to make sure that you're measuring all the things that are important to your business. And not only that, now you have to also understand skill sets of process improvement methodology so that when you see these processes, you know how they're working, you know, hey, there might be a better way. How do you get there? How do you take it from point A to point B among your team working together so that it works well and efficient in making that journey to that next spot that improves your processes in your business? Okay, I've talked on and on. I'm sorry about that. I'm just so excited about what things are happening in our industry, and it's going to be really cool. I know people are like worried, scared, blah blah blah. You don't. This is going to be great. Embrace it. Throw that stuff aside, man. It doesn't do you any good. Just hop in with 2 feet and start learning like you're a kid again, because this is what it's going to be like. It's going to be a lot of really new, cool, exciting things that are going to go on. So, all right. I hope you have a wonderful 2022. Love to see you at KBIS, and please take the survey about what you'd like to see on our next adventure channel. And we'd love to get you participating in all this stuff. So thanks again. We're signing off now, and hopefully we'll see you in about 2.5 weeks. Thank you. Question?